that my phone ringing? Let's play some. Meditation music. So, I'm gonna get started in a few seconds. So, hey Tim, good morning. Is that sad music? Let me not play sad music. Like meditation. Like meditation music. Okay, so hi everybody. I have to make this quick because I gotta get my son to football practice. But I had to come in here because today is World Alzheimer's Day, and why is this important to me? So I have, over time, I've shared information supporting brain health and just health in general. It's a journey for me to just be mindful of my health, to get better and better in my journey. I am far from perfect, have so far to go, but I've kind of shared snippets of information, but I don't think I've really explained why. I haven't really explained why this has been really important to me. And so here we go. So maybe about three and a half years, maybe 4 years ago, my mother was, she was diagnosed with at that time it was called cognitive, not cognitive dysfunction, but like minor cognitive dysfunction, showing signs of the, call me now. I can't be like, Dad, I'm on Facebook Live, because he won't even know what I'm talking about. So, my mom was diagnosed with like minor cognitive impairment, showing signs of an onset of minor dementia. And I'm clearly getting the diagnosis. I don't have it correct, but basically she was starting to show signs of dementia, which is a form of Alzheimer's. And my grandmother, who, God bless her, she just turned 90 this year. She has Alzheimer's. One of my aunts or my sisters or my cousins will probably, LJ, come on now, please. I'm doing a live right now, okay? Sorry guys. My grandmother was diagnosed, I don't know how many years ago. She has Alzheimer's now. I forget what stage it's in. I think it's stage 3. It's like different. It's like 7 levels with 4 different classes. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about that. So, I'm sorry, y'all. This is, okay. I gotta move fast. I can't get emotional. I gotta get to the point. I gotta make sure that okay. So, my grandmother has had Alzheimer's for a long time now, and our family has really kind of come together in supporting my aunt, who was her caregiver, my cousin, who was her caregiver, in making sure that, we did the best that we could do to support it. And so she still has Alzheimer's, but my aunt has made some adjustments. My cousins have made some adjustments with her that have helped her tremendously. My other aunt has passed away due to Alzheimer's. My great grandfather passed away because of Alzheimer's. So in my family, it's genetic, or so, so we think or thought. So let me get back to my point. So when my mom got diagnosed, yes. Yeah. So when my mom was diagnosed a couple of years ago, it hit me in a different kind of a way. I'm a really positive person, and I really believe in the power of God, and I believe in mind over matter. I understood earlier on how much your like your physical health could impact your mental health, but yes, but I never really knew the correlation really, because it hadn't really impacted me. But once it, you wait for things to hit close to home before you start to do something different. So once it hit closer to home, I started doing my research, and I joined when I moved down to North Carolina, and literally this isn't the magazine, the issue, but this is the magazine from the gym that I go to. I'm trying to move this so I can see. I go to a gym, Lifetime Fitness, down here, and they have this Experience Life magazine, and I got this issue of it coincidentally around the same time that my father was reaching out to my sisters and I. We were really starting to discuss what this was for my mom, and in the article it spoke about how you're like Alzheimer's. It didn't say that it was preventable or curable at that time, because we're taught that there's no cure for Alzheimer's, but it did speak on how our lifestyle had a huge impact on our brain health, and that just really intrigued me. It intrigued me that what we eat and our sleep and our interaction and the air we breathe and our faith and the managing stress, like that intrigued me, that had a correlation with your brain health. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, then that doesn't make any sense, that there's just no cure, and if you have the gene, you just get Alzheimer's. So I came across different doctors, Dr. Rudy Tanzi, and at that time it was Dr. Rudy Tanzi and Dr. Deepak Chopra. They wrote a book called Super Genes and then Super Brain. And they basically talked about how, we all have different genes that are characteristic of certain things, but just because you have the gene for something doesn't mean that you are going to get something. You know what I mean? Like we have the power to ignite or to kind of calm down our genes, but we have to understand it. And then I just started Googling Alzheimer's, and I came across this book. It's upstairs, but my son is upstairs sleeping, so I don't want to go get it. I'll probably put it in here later. I came across a book that I posted maybe about 2 years ago, and it's called The End of Alzheimer's, and it says the reversal of cognitive decline. And so I'm sitting here with this, looking at this book, and I said, well, I don't understand how this Dr. Dale Bredesen is going to say in this book that this is the end of Alzheimer's and it can be reversed. But on the other hand, my mom's doctor is preparing us really for what the journey ahead is going to be and how there's just no cure and all of that. So I got his book. And I read his book, and one of the things that became extremely obvious to me when I read the book was one, that the focus on treatment for Alzheimer's is new. It's not as there hasn't been as much years of research on Alzheimer's as like other diseases, and then also that when people say, I had to start really understanding what it means for a cure. See, when we think of a cure, it's okay, I have this, give me that, and it's gone. So yeah, there is no cure for Alzheimer's in that regard. But when I started to read more about it, it was, well, wait, Alzheimer's is not, it's not a this disease such that you give a pill and it cures that. In fact, the guy who I guess coined the term Alzheimer's, I forget his name, the Dr. Dale Bredesen, he went into great detail. He said, you know, the doctor or scientist rather that came up with the concept of Alzheimer's, he did it based off of a study that he did on a older woman long time ago. And when he did the dissection of her brain, they noticed that there was all of this plaque, or I think they call it amyloid plaque or tau, on her brain. And so the notion was that the amyloid plaque that's on her brain is what's kind of suffocating, if you will, and killing the brain cells that she had. So naturally, you would think that the treatment should tackle the amyloid plaque. So honestly speaking, all of the science behind that, not the science, but all of the efforts that we knew about after that was targeting that amyloid plaque. Pharmaceutical companies began to start to try to make drugs that attacked the amyloid plaque. You know, doctors are focusing on how do we stop this, how do we get rid of this amyloid plaque. Well, Dr. Dale Bredesen said that what we didn't realize was that our brain producing the amyloid plaque was not the result of your brain going helter-skelter, which was kind of what they were describing it as. Like, if you got Alzheimer's disease, your brain just was one of the chosen ones that kind of just went helter-skelter and started producing this amyloid plaque, and so we just got to focus on it. No, what was happening is Dr. Bredesen said, no, your body is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. What's happening is that there's stuff coming into your world, into your system, and as a result, to protect the brain, it produces this amyloid plaque to protect the brain. Unfortunately, by protecting itself, it's also hurting itself because it's suffocating itself, if that makes sense. So he said, so there really is nothing wrong with your brain just because you have Alzheimer's. It's more of, why is your brain producing the amyloid plaque? Well, in his book, he explains, and he says it straight up. He said Alzheimer's is reversible. He said nobody should be dying from it. He said it should definitely be a rare disease. It should not be as common as it is. I forget what the numbers are with Alzheimer's, but it should not be, what is it? Trying to think of how many people, I'm gonna pull this up while I'm doing this, are dying from Alzheimer's disease. Let me see if I could pull it. I'll see if I can pull it up in a little bit. So he said, but what's interesting is that once you come up with a theory in medicine and you get backed by certain organizations and certain entities and money starts to be put behind research, it's really hard. It's really hard to pivot. It's really hard to change the data, if you will, that's being put out there. And he said there was actually a lot of research that contradicted what the Alzheimer's guy came up with, but it literally got buried down. You didn't hear about the information because the money didn't back the information, which if anybody watched, not Fahrenheit 9/11, but what was Michael Moore's other documentary? his other documentary, not Fahrenheit 9/11. Do y'all know what the other documentary was? It was Michael Moore's second documentary where he was focused on healthcare and healthcare in the United States. And we all know, I'm sure, how big the pharmaceutical companies are as it relates to the medical industry. And so he was just saying it's not profitable. It wouldn't be profitable for the truth about Alzheimer's to be out. But he had been working on a protocol for like 20 years. Dr. Dale has his own institute where he brought in people who have different levels of Alzheimer's, and he started to come up with a protocol. He did a lot of studies, a lot of tests, a lot of all these different things, and he documented people's progression, and he started to see the reversal of Alzheimer's. And what he realized was that it had nothing to do with what we thought. It had everything to do with our lifestyle. It had everything to do with our gut health. Our gut health, I didn't even know this till the other day. We have neurons in our stomach. Why? Why would we have neurons in our stomach? Like, our gut health is directly related to our brain health. Like I said, the air that we breathe in, a lot of hormonal imbalances, the foods that we're eating, my God, like the food that we're eating, it's not even really food anymore. And so his thing is, if people were to follow a certain protocol, intermittent fasting and checking your levels, making sure that you have your vitamins are in order, and exercise and meditation and sleep, it's a whole bunch of different things that really everybody should be doing, we would see a big impact on the Alzheimer's numbers. And so I'm just sitting and I'm like, wow, this man has all this in this book. And we're out here thinking that there is no cure. So now I'm to the point where I have this information, but how do I make it relevant to me and to my life, for my mom, for my dad? So I was kind of at a standstill. In all honesty, I was at a standstill because I have this book, but my mom's doctor is literally saying, yes. Can you get some water? Yes. My mom's doctor didn't even know about the book. Didn't even know the book existed. So how do you combat that? You know what I mean? And then so I say all that to say, I'm sorry, I probably belabored that. I say all that to say, that started my journey, because I want to wrap this up. That started my journey to really start learning about brain health, and to start following these doctors who are saying, no, Alzheimer's disease is reversible. Alzheimer's disease is preventable, but you gotta be willing to do these things. And Dr. Dale Bredesen said there is no silver bullet. That no wonder companies can't come up with the pill to reverse it, because this isn't that type of a thing. This is a lifestyle disease. This is something that we really, in essence, bring on ourselves based off of what we're eating. And so when I started doing more research, I learned that just chronic illness, chronic disease, in and of itself, most of it is related to what's happening in our bodies that we are doing to it. Most of it. He said, listen, I'm not saying like if you break your arm, you need to go get surgery. You know what I mean? If you have trauma to your body, you need to go to a doctor to get it fixed. But as it relates to heart disease and diabetes and Alzheimer's and all these different things that are taking people out, we've been so inclined to be in a treatment state of mind, and to just, I'm hurting, this isn't right, let me run to the doctor, give me something to fix this, and then I'm good. We've been accustomed to that for so long that it's killing us. It's killing us. And so basically it's learning to bring it back to the earth, learning to bring it back to our roots. If you go to places over in the Eastern Hemisphere, people are not, I'm not saying that dementia and Alzheimer is not global, because it absolutely is, but the areas where there is none of it, these people, they live, like, especially in the blue zones, these people are living with clean air, they're social with one another, they're doing things, they're active, they're outside, they're in nature, they're eating things that they can pronounce, that grow from trees and from the ground. They are taking care of their body, and they're not seeing the same thing that we're seeing. So long story short, there's another doctor, I can name doctors for days, y'all. I feel like I've been like, okay, let me say this. When I first read that book, none of the information that I'm now coming across was really out. In the past 2.5 years, just to see more doctors come forward and make statements has been a huge blessing for me, because for a long time I felt like nobody believes me, but like, when will the medical field start to catch up to what some of the medical field is already discovering? And so there's a doctor, Dr. David Perlmutter, and I think Dr. Dave Perlmutter is a neurologist, or is he a neurologist or a cardiologist? Dr. Dave Perlmutter. He's a neurologist. And he came across, him and Dr. Dale Bredesen are, they're friends, and he came across the information that Dale had discovered, and I guess realized the power of it. And he even admitted, he said, as a neurologist in medical school, they didn't talk about gut health, like, at all. He said it's crazy. Dr. Tansey said the same thing. He said in medical school, they didn't focus on your eating. They didn't focus on your stomach when they were talking to us about our brain, but it's directly connected. It's directly connected. Our gut, most of the stuff that's fighting our body is in our stomach, and what's keeping the nastiness of our gut, if it's not in good health, from the rest of our body is a lining that is one cell thin. One cell thin. That's why, if you guys have ever heard of leaky gut, that's been connected to all of these diseases, because it's so easy for something to permeate through your stomach lining if you're not careful. So anyway, Dr. Perlmutter, he partnered with Dr. Tansey and Dr. Bredesen and a whole bunch of other doctors and scientists and nurses and nutritionists, and he put together this series called Awakening Alzheimer's. And I really should have came in here when that started and presented this to you guys, but I didn't, because I wasn't really ready to be completely transparent about my mom. A part of it is because I'm a strong believer in what you speak has power, and I didn't want to claim it, but I have to claim it to reverse it, and I got that now. I didn't get that at first. I didn't understand that at first. I was scared, but I realized that I had to face it like head on. This is what's happening for her. Now we can change it. So anyway, so it was Awakening Alzheimer's, and it was like this series for days where every day he posted a video of interviews with different doctors on different topics on how we can prevent Alzheimer's, because it's twofold. Understanding that we can prevent it is directly correlated to reversing it. So it's equally as important for people to know what to do to not even go down that road as it is for people who are already down that road to understand that you can reverse the road. Our brain is very, very, what do they call it? Plastic. It can mold itself. It can change itself if we do that. So now, because I gotta go, I gotta get him to football. So today, let me get to the point. Today starts another series that he's doing, because the first one he did got a lot of great reviews. I enjoyed it tremendously. I learned even more than I had already known when I first started this path, if you will. And so now what they're doing is one that's called Regain Your Brain. Nobody's paying me to say this. Nobody's paying me to do this. I just feel it on my heart to start sharing this information, because we're not talking enough about how our lifestyles are killing us. Like, we're just not doing it. And many of us are suffering from it. Like, somebody, one of my Facebook friends was posting about how her mother has, I won't say her name, but how her mom has Alzheimer's, and it's so sad watching her. And I'm sitting here like, well, I'm sitting over here on this end, but she doesn't know about me. I didn't know about her. I got this book. I'm not sharing this book. I'm like, we can't do that anymore. We have got to start talking about this. We have got to understand how important it is to take care of ourselves. And I get it, because life is tough. Money is an issue for a lot of us. We stress a lot. It's hard. It's harder to be more in the natural state that God wanted us to be in today's day, especially living here. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. So it starts somewhere. So this is my contribution today. So it's called Regain Your Brain, and it goes from today. They started it today because today is World Alzheimer's Day. And I think it goes from today until October 3rd or something. And every day he sends you a link. This is all free. He sends you a link to a video of an interview or what have you with the information, but the link only stays live for 24 hours. So if you click the link, I'm praying that if you click the link, you can still start. It starts today. He already sent me my link for today to watch the first episode. So if you click the link, I'm thinking you will be able to start today. And please share it. Share it with everybody, any and everybody. People who don't believe. I gotta say this. My dad, I love him to death, but he was fighting me. He was fighting me. He kept saying well, what's the cure? And I'm looking for the cure. And I'm like, oh my God, please. It's not I need you to just look at the information. And finally he's coming around. Thank God. So today's episode, let me read this really quickly. He said, today's exciting first episode of Regain Your Brain features Peggy Sarlin, your host of Regain Your Brain and author of Awakening from Alzheimer's, and myself, Lee Euler, executive producer of Regain Your Brain and the acclaimed documentary Awakening from Alzheimer's. This episode will help you start your plan for protecting and saving your brain. You're going to learn the steps to make your brain healthy and young again from some of the leading brain health experts and neuroscientists in the world. Your mind should be just as sharp at 95 as it is at 24. But I'll bet for many of you that's hard to believe, and yet that's what Dr. Pamela Warshin-Smith told Peggy Sarlin. Dr. Smith is an anti-aging specialist, and she has the evidence-based science to back it up. The truth is, no matter how old you are, no matter if you already have Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, or if you're just starting to notice a little memory slipping and it bothers you, your brain can get better. You can recover lost function and come back stronger than you've been in decades. And if you're young and healthy right now, you can boost your memory and cognitive ability to levels you never thought possible, which is important for us young people, because I'm still young. The onset really starts by the time you start to see the symptoms of it. What did they say? That 30 years prior to seeing signs and symptoms is when it really is when it starts. You know what I mean? So what we're doing right now, I'm 36. So what I'm doing right now will have a direct impact on where my brain health will be when I'm 66. So, okay, if you're young, okay, today we know that you are not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better, but you must have a plan. Today is the perfect time to start creating your plan to reverse memory loss and make your brain young again. The sooner you get started, the sharper your memory will be. Getting Started, the master plan to reverse memory loss and regain your brain. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to learn directly from the pioneers who are working to make brain disease and memory loss a thing of the past. It's a great, y'all don't understand, because this Alzheimer's has just impacted my family so much. It's a great preview and summary of what's in store over the next 12 days. 12 days, so add 12 to September 21st. You figure it out. We're giving you 24-hour access to watch all 13 episodes in this online video event. Each morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll be given a link to watch that day's interview with one of our brain experts. Make it a point to schedule time to watch with family and friends, because each episode will be taken down the following day. See you there. And then tomorrow they're going to have the first doctor to successfully reverse Alzheimer's. Tomorrow's going to be Dale Bredesen. So I gotta go. I already maxed out how much time I'm on here because I gotta get my son ready. I'm gonna just, once I watch it later on today, I'm gonna come back in here. I'm just gonna keep talking about it. I'm not gonna be scared to talk about it anymore. Whatever I find out, I'm gonna share. Whatever you guys find out, share. Like, we gotta stay more connected with this and take this disease out, because it doesn't need to keep taking us out. So I love all of y'all. I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see you all later. You want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.